so big. It's so big. It's right in our face. Wow, cool, Sanjay. Okay, this is the time for talking about our practice questions. And because the sound system is not working downstairs, but it is working for the streaming, I'll try to remember to repeat your question because they can't hear you generally out there. So, what's up? Is there any suffering out there, any confusion, any discontent? Or have you all become, what was the, I want to read that again. When you practice the Dharma, rely on the inexhaustible wealth of being content with whatever comes. So I just want to say something about that. I just returned from my elder brother's house, and he's 87. When I was born, he was 17 already, and so he always seemed more like an uncle to me. But we had a great connection, and it was so palpable again. I went to his home because he fell and broke his hip, and he had a hip replacement last week. And when you're 87 and you fall and break your hip, it is a big deal. I guess it's a big deal anytime, but quite hard to come back from that surgery. So he's also legally blind, as is his wife, and she has pretty advanced dementia. And it was, do you all know that phrase, the sign appearance of the guru? How many don't know? Just raise your hand. Okay, good. About half do and half don't. Oh, good. Then I can tell you something. The sign appearance of the guru is simply a translation of everything being a teaching. Everything. So if you walk out of here and someone stole your car, that's a teaching. If your brother breaks his hip, that's a teaching. If you feel very well and happy, that's a teaching. You get it? I don't have to keep listing, right? Stomachache, that's a teaching. Your business succeeds, that's a teaching. Your business fails, that's a teaching. It has a lot to do with this quote I read, content with whatever comes. If we begin to see every single thing as teaching us, moving us along the path to full awakening, is no problem. Lama Zopa used to say, no matter what happens, you look at it and you say, this is not a problem. I used that when I had breast cancer. I just kept saying, this is not a problem. It seemed like a nutsy thing to say. You know, like, what do you mean it's not a problem? But it became a very potent koan. If it's not a problem, what is it? Oh, it's the sign appearance of the guru. It's the teacher showing up and saying, see, you could die someday. See, you get sick without wanting to. See? So I felt like this whole trip of seeing my brother, who I really love dearly, and his wife was all about that. It was 3 days and 3 nights of just, oh my God, this is freaking miserable. This is miserable. This is just suffering on suffering on suffering. And yet, right in the middle of it, I could experience these incredible moments of closeness with my brother, which if he was not sick that way, we wouldn't have had. Because he's usually not that vulnerable. And I'm not that vulnerable with him. But that created a huge opening. And we were able to cry together. We were able to talk about death. We were able to talk about, does he remember any prayers anymore? It was just quite wonderful. And then his wife has become so much more gentle since her dementia, because she can't keep track of not liking anything. Honest to God, it just goes. And it was just so lovely. And then you want to get a big teaching about attachment to your partner, your husband, your wife. Here's one. We were all sitting on their big bed, chatting away. And my brother's in the chair and she's in the bed and I'm sitting on the corner. And she looks at him and she says, completely honestly, who are you? Looking at her husband of 52 years. Who are you? Do you get it? So what's all the attachment about? What's all the attachment about? They better not change. They better not leave. They better do this. They need to do that for me. Meh. But what was there that was so important was their kindness for each other. There was really, really a kind of a soft, caring love that 52 years have brought. But it was so clear. It's like, who's he going to let go of? You know, the woman who doesn't remember him? I don't know. It was just full of koans and thoughts. And yet quite. I just feel still this open-heartedness from being with them. It was just amazing. So I don't know about you, but every time I get that close to some kind of really difficult suffering, I think I wake up a little bit. More kindness, more compassion shows up. More courage shows up. So tell me about that, or ask, or what? Yeah, Sanjay, or add in.
I don't know what kind of a week it was for everyone else. Matthew shared with me a little bit earlier that, oh my God, it's a horrible week. And I thought I was having a good week, and then I realized that I didn't have any email for 6 days because my server completely shut down. The phone is shut down, and the website is shut down. I think they took the money and ran.
Oh, I saw your notice about, yeah.
And then I lost my driver's license. And then I remembered my kind of New Year's resolution.
Could be. It could be a resolution or a revolution.
I would like to delete my preferences, my aversions, and my indifferences.
Okay, I got to capture that for the streamers. Sanjay was sharing that a lot happened this week. See, they can't hear you. A lot happened this week. I'm going to explain again. This is streaming, but they can't hear you, including his email going completely fritz and phone too. Email. And he had a revolution, which is he wants to give up preferences. And what was it?
Delete preferences.
Delete.
Aversions, and indifferences.
Delete preferences, aversions, and indifferences. So, there you go. Sounds like a mind training slogan. I'm just saying that it's a great mind training slogan. Personal preferences get us all jammed up. Why? Why?
Because we don't always get what we want.
Because we do not get what we want. Pretty much more than we get it, we don't get it.
Or even worse, we do get it.
Well, we get what we don't want, and we don't get what we want. And sometimes we get what we want. I think that's what you're pointing at, right? And then that's miserable too. I really want that job. I did that in 1995. Oh God, I lobbied so hard to have this job at the county, and 5.5 years later, I was so depressed, I quit. Oh my God, I really, really want that job. Oh, I don't want everything that comes with it, though.
Our preferences are mostly self-centered and selfish.
Mm-hmm.
That if we let go of them and our indifference, our aversion, our attraction, and our indifference, we can be content with whatever arises.
Yeah.
Even if it's jarring or shocking. Like there was a sound when we were meditating, and it was very sharp, and it came from that direction. I think it was a car horn. Can't really remember, but it was very interesting to me to see what happened with my mind as I tried to make sense of that and put a label on it. And I thought, oh, you don't have to do that, it's just a sound, you know.
Good for you.
It can just be, but I think preferences are very self-centered.
Yeah. So that comment is basically preferences are self-centered, and that what you're describing was just what I was trying to tie together, the calm abiding practice. So it's the same on the cushion, off the cushion. So you were describing on the cushion, a sharp sound came, and you saw your mind start going after it, right? I'm going to nail it down or name it or something, and you let go. And that's the same off the cushion. Okay, I'll go back to this example because it's so present for me, and it's probably pretty common. Not the details, but when I got the call, my brother had a broken hip. I immediately thought, oh God, they're going to ask me to come, and I don't want to. That was it wasn't my first thought. My first thought was, oh my God, poor sweetheart. And then it was like, oh my God, they're going to want me to come. I don't want to come. So few people are recognizing this. It's good just to see. There's the personal preference. And I called, we talked, they didn't ask me, but then day number 2, my brother called and said, will you come? It was like, sure, of course. I mean, if your big brother calls you and you love him, you gotta go. So forget personal preference. And then it became something very good for me. I'm not saying, I don't think it would have been that way except for my practice. I'm not bragging about my practice. I'm honoring and respecting the fruits of practice. I did not want to go. I went, and it has turned into something so precious to me. So there you go, just what you said. Let go of the personal preference, and something opens that the I, the self-centered I, is not in charge of. Something much bigger opens.
Can you describe why you didn't want to go?
Oh.
Is it distance?
Oh no, it's just Olympia. Drive 2 hours. Why did I not want to go? Let me count the ways. I mean, it's all personal preference. I had to cancel things. I had to switch today with Bill. I like to teach in the morning. I could list you 10, 20 things. I have plenty to do. My family and I, there's sort of a sense of, they call me Kathleen. Kathleen will get there and fix everything. Now, I have fostered this in the past, but I'm not doing that no more. So that's part of what made this better, was no, I'm not fixing that. No, I'm not fixing that. But what opened, because I wasn't in my old way, was a lot more, just more. But there were plenty of personal preference,
So it had to do with comfort?
The wish not to go,
Mm-hmm.
somewhat, not totally, because I'm not comfortable here either. Yeah, I'm not comfortable anywhere these days. But that's all right. What else? Yeah, Makiko.
So that's this preference, including the feeling as well. That like I like this feeling, but I don't like that feeling, and this kind of stuff.
Is it for you?
Yeah, like let's say well lately I've been dealing with a lot of anger.
Anger.
And I don't like to be angry.
Yeah.
And I don't,
You don't prefer anger.
I don't prefer anger.
No, we don't. But it comes.
But it comes.
Yeah.
And sometimes it comes really big.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes it's a little bit, small.
Yeah.
Size.
Yeah.
But regardless of the size.
I love that. Regardless of the size of the anger, you don't want it, whether it's big or small. Okay, now Makiko, that is really good. Now let's take this saying and let's apply it to anger. Okay. Can you think of the inexhaustible wealth of being content with anger? This is a koan. Can we be content with the fact that anger rises? That's all it is. It's going to rise again. Come on. You think you're never going to feel it? I was so angry at my brothers. Here I was, taking good care of him, and he got grumpy and bossy. Can you believe it? And at one point, I just turned and walked out of the room because I was so PO'd. And that was fine. It was the best I could do. And I got, out of the room into the front room, and it was gone. It was like, okay, he's hurting. I would be like that and worse. But I went back and said to him, Don, you have to say to me, thank you. Don't just be telling me what's not going right. And he said, you're right. So we have to be, no, we don't have to. We want to become content with whatever rises. Depression, mania, anger, stupidity. Oh, hello, I see you. This is, if we can get, I think we've talked about this before. If we can get a little distance between our everyday self, just our everyday body, speech, mind, emotions, and the things that the emotions we don't like, our emotional patterns, our thought patterns, just get a little distant. That's not you. When the anger rises, it's just a set of thoughts, emotions, sensations. Sensations do arise in the body with all these. Thoughts, what are they made out of? Show me one. Huh?
Synapses in the brain that are firing.
That's the physical part, but the actual thought. Can you show me a thought of love, a thought of anger?
It doesn't exist. It's empty.
It's just formless. It's not there. Okay. Emotions, formless. Come, go. Sensations, formless. If they were not formless, they'd never move on. They'd be like this. No, this is also formless, because this is also deteriorating, but slower. We can't point to anything that isn't. But you can get the sense these formless things are running us like as though, the metaphor is, as though we are a donkey with a ring in its nose and we're led around by these hallucinatory forms. My God, that's such a frightening image. My anger leads me around? Well, take a look and see. It doesn't have to. If you just see it, you say, I don't prefer this, but here it is. I don't prefer my brother's broken hip, but here it is. I don't prefer aging. Here it is. There's kind of one thing my one friend says, there's this basic owie hurt suffering of aging will take, or illness. But we pile on layers of suffering on top. I don't want it. I hate this. I shouldn't have this. I'm bad if I have this. I'm defective. Other people don't have this. How many layers do I have now? 7. And each one of those is a suffering layer. We don't even get back to the basic ow. And if we did and saw the basic ow, what's that made up of? Thoughts, emotions, sensation. Yeah, Sanjay.
One of the things that I like that connects to anger, or at least I try to work with the idea of anger this way, is one of the paramitas. And I've heard it said that, and I hope it's true, that if you have developed enough patience, anger will not arise.
Yeah, so Sanjay's talking, referring to anger in the context of the 6 paramitas, generosity, ethical discipline, patience, joyous effort, help me here, concentration, and wisdom. Ooh, I did them. Even I'm so tired. And he was saying that it is taught, it is so, that we can develop patience to the point where anger does not arise. So you can look at someone, we can just see that. You look at someone like the Dalai Lama, his people are being tortured, killed, driven out of their country, even not the past, now. And he doesn't run around raging at China. He does not. So that's one of the definitions he gave in one of his books about patience was the ability to remain calm under all circumstances. That means the anger does not arise. But until we get there, that's more close to the, you know why they're called the 6 paramitas, perfection? Because they're to be perfected. That is applied all times, in all places, without fail. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm not there. But I'm going there. I'm going there. Where else to go? Cultivate more anger, cultivate more discouragement. Doesn't seem.
This is the antidote for anger.
That's right.
So when anger arises with me, I try and keep my mouth shut and calm myself down so I can find patience.
Thank you.
With myself and with my mother.
I thought you were going to say with other. Self and mother.
Trigger that. My
Yeah.
mother's really difficult.
Yeah.
And yet I can see her suffering. It's so obvious to me that she puts druka on top of druka.
Yeah.
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 There can be a little thing, and she's going to put how she doesn't like it, a judgment, all those things.
Yeah, just the layers, I would say.
Becomes a monster.
Yes.
We massage our, anyway.
Yeah.
Because she has a habit of mind, and I find habits of mind very interesting.
Yeah.
Because I have tons of habits of mind, and it's working with those habits to either dissolve them and, understand them, become content with them, and to have patience
Yeah.
as the antidote
Yeah.
to anger.
Yeah. Yeah, patience is the antidote to anger, and it also helps. You pointed out one thing that is another antidote, which is anyone we feel anger toward, see that they are suffering. I realized at one point one day, I was so mad at someone, and I burst out laughing when I got away from them because I went, oh my God, Zopa, you are angry at their suffering. That is like a joke. I hate their suffering. I hate it. And I'm so angry at them for having it. Now, that is not the Bodhisattva vow to wish for the end of suffering of all beings. Instead, I'm just so PO'd at them instead of at the suffering. I'm starting to see the difference, especially this weekend I saw. I'm really angry at the suffering, but it can turn into anger at the person. But if I see their suffering, I feel more compassion right away. And the 6 paramitas, particularly patience towards the anger thing, is to get there. You can't achieve the bodhisattva ideal without practicing the 6 paramitas. So every day we try to do something generous, even a small giving away. We keep our ethics. That's really, really important. Don't harm with body, speech, and mind. Just don't harm. As soon as we harm, we've created a trauma, drama, karma. Good God. So that's important. Patience to meet anger. One of the other antidotes about anger is to see the disadvantages of it. There's a whole contemplative meditation on the disadvantages of anger. It drives people away from you. I told my brother this weekend, I'm really using this scene, but I said to him, if you turn yourself into a grumpy old man, we talk like this in our house, nobody will come and help you. You don't have to be a grumpy old man. He looks at me. I walk out of the room. I come back. I say, and you know I love you. And he says, yes, I love you too. So, but seeing the disadvantages of anger, no one wants to be around someone who's always angry. We do it, but we don't want to. And you become isolated. What do they say? The first victim of anger is yourself. You think, the Dalai Lama says this, you think the enemy is suffering? They're going on their merry way. You're sitting there stewing and high blood pressure and da-da. They aren't thinking about you, So it's ineffective. There's all kind of disadvantages. Sarah wants to help us or say something, please.
I was just saying, say that I find it actually helpful to think of it in reverse and think about impatience. Think about impatience, and for me, what I find helpful is to not actually think of it as impatience. I think of it as fear of waiting.
Can I laugh at that?
Yeah.
So Sarah says about impatience, thinking of it as fear of waiting. I like that, because then it really shows how crazy it is, in a way.
Because then we can face the fear.
Yeah, and what's that about? Fear.
I don't think it really matters.
Fear of waiting. Well, that's what I mean. What could it possibly be about? Fear of waiting. Fear is under so much of anger. If you really start watching your anger, and you can slow down for a minute and ask, what am I afraid of? It can be right there, I can get so angry at certain people leading certain countries. And if I really pay attention, I'm scared that they're going to start a war. That's deeper than my anger. It's more vulnerable. It's more honest. Then, what's under that? I'm afraid of dying. Am I going to die someday? Yep. Could it be tonight? Yep. So that helps kind of put it all back in perspective. At least, it helps me. Some are nodding. Yeah.
There's a wonderful new book that somebody just gave me called Graceful Exits.
Graceful Exit, a book.
It's an anthology of great holy men from all traditions with their photographs, Kala Rinpoche, the Karmapa, Ramana Maharshi, Mayor Baba, and, Amanda Mai, Ma, and all these lovely people.
Uh-huh.
And what they said in the last moments of their life.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Zen Roshis, of course, who gave out koans, but
yeah.
But,
Graceful Exit.
wonderful.
That sounds wonderful.
It's a wonderful book.
Yeah, a book about many spiritual teachers who kind of last thoughts before dying. There's another wonderful book I like to read about death too. It's called Zen Death Poems. Yeah, Japanese Zen death poems. And there was a tradition, maybe still is, for serious practitioners, like very close to the moment, like you're about to exit, write a haiku. And they are amazing. They are very puzzling and very amazing what different ones are focusing on in that moment. It's a paperback book, Zen Death Poems. I want to write one of those. We'll see. Maybe not if you get in a car accident. It could be hard. Screech. It could be short. Screech, bam. Gone. Gone beyond. What's that?
That's why you have to write one at every moment.
Yeah, there you go, Jessica. Just assume you're going to die each moment, so write one every night at least. Might not wake up tomorrow. See, it's so fun to talk about death. It's a relief. Yeah.
I was walking through Costco this week, and my mind was pretty quiet at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
After putting things in my cart, looking at stuff,
Yeah.
and I suddenly felt a sense of dread and sadness, and it really arose very quickly. And I just looked at it and realized I was really hungry.
Yeah.
But in many times in my life, I would have taken the dread and the sadness and felt that it was real.
Yeah.
That it had substance. That it wasn't just arising something. I would have glommed onto it, and I would have ridden that, and maybe called a friend. I'm so upset. I would have worked on it until, I think I said this earlier, it became a monster.
Yeah.
When it arose, like sometimes things arise like that in meditation very quickly. They're emotional and kind of powerful, and it's something simple, like I'm really tired, and I'm hungry.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and that's just, but it's a habit of my mind to make that into a big deal.
Yeah.
So it was very interesting. I'm sorry that I'm learning that so late in life.
Yeah, but be happy you are learning it. Most people go their whole life and do not learn this. So what we're talking about for the streamers is learning, do you say Susan or Suzanne?
Susan.
Susan was sharing, like, walking through Costco, and suddenly there's this sudden feeling of dread and sadness. And not making a big deal out of it. Just seeing it, slow down, see it. Oh, I'm actually hungry. Or for me, it's often, I'm actually tired. I need to go lay down for 10, 15 minutes. I say get horizontal for 10 or 15 minutes. That's all it takes. Change the blood flow from this direction to that direction. And but not grabbing it, not making it into the big thing. And that's why I think Shine, our calm abiding practice, is so key. Because here you sit quiet and you can see that. Costco, it's harder to see it because you're in the middle of a lot of stimulus. Great that you could see it in the middle of stimulus. But if you make the habit, we make the habit on the cushion. I see now I'm caught in a big old thing here. Can I let go? Yeah. Oh, wow. That's it? Go have a snack? That's it? How great. Yeah. We don't have to make this all into some big suffering story. Some people are looking like something. What are you thinking, Matthew? Can I ask you? You're puzzling on something, are you? What? Argue with me. Tell me it's not like that. That's what I'm picking up. Some people like, it's not like that. This is, you can't do what?
The problem is that it isn't, and don't like it.
It is like what I'm saying, and you don't like it.
I want to argue, but I can't because I already know it's.
That's what I'm picking up. Okay.
I want to know how. How to practice letting go and creating distance when doing those things feels like the same as when doing that feeds into the desire to maximize gain and minimize loss. How do we work with letting go feeling like losing?
So letting go feels like losing. Oh, you are going to lose. You're going to lose your suffering. That's what you're going to lose.
How do I convince how do I convince myself emotionally that that's a good thing?
Well, you got to suffer more. That's what Kala Rinpoche said. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to make light of it, because I've been slow on learning this. I didn't come to the Dharma till I was 40. I'm looking at Bob, 47? We came together in 94-ish. Anyway, so that was late, so I had to suffer a whole bunch. And Kala Rinpoche said that to one guy who came to him with pretty much the same question. And just, I'm not convinced of this. My life's pretty good. But he was saying, just what you were saying, I see what you're saying is true, but I don't experience it. And he said, you haven't suffered enough. And Lama Michael says, oh no, this is Ken MacLeod's story, that the guy wanted to punch Kala Rinpoche. He didn't punch him, but he wanted to, because he wanted to say, you don't know, I have suffered and suffered. Well, then what I would say is, yeah, but, and I say this to myself even to this day, but you don't really see it. You don't really see it. So, what has helped me see it? Getting cancer helped me. That scared the bejesus out of me. It was like, oh, this talk about death is for real. I could be dying. Oh, I think I am dying. So that was hard when I was 59. Then a lot of friends and family dying. As you get older, you get to go through more and more of that. You start seeing that it's also tied to this thing. When I said you will lose, what you'll lose is your suffering. But you also, you kind of have to give up on what Venerable Chidran calls low-level happiness. That's what we get exchange for. We exchange our liberation for low-level happiness. So how does that work? What do you grab at to comfort yourself? It all feels like crap, right? Sometimes. Yeah, okay. We grab something so it won't feel that way. What do you grab? You can food, drugs, sex, movies, pornography, whatever you grab at. The distractions. They're low-level happiness. And that's how they function. They're like, oh, now I'm not suffering. I'm all full of bonbons and watching my movie. How long does that happiness last? Not long enough. So it's this trick of just seeing how we, as Susan says, the habits trick us. My habit is to go get the comfort thing. But I can do that over and over and over, and then I'm 87, and I broke my hip, and I'm going to die pretty soon. Now, all those low-level happinesses mean bupkas. What does have meaning is, did I really love people? Did I really take care of people? Did I really do good in the world? Was I ethical? Did I be as patient as I could be? Was I generous? Right?
So I have a question.
Well, just a sec. I want to just check out. I just want to, because that's your truth.
How do I genuinely believe in the promise of liberation when low-level happiness is all I know?
Well, low-level happiness is not all you know, Matthew. Check it out. I mean, I've been around you, 3 years? I know that's not all you know. You know that too. You have to look at that part. Look toward your Buddha nature. Other people see it. Sorry, you're not going to be able to get away with that one. Low-level happiness is not all you know. If that was all you knew, you wouldn't even come in here.
We don't really lose anything that's important.
What's that, Sarah?
We don't really lose anything that's important. We gain
No.
everything.
You're going to lose suffering, and you're going to lose low-level happiness.
We gain the whole universe.
And you gain beyond the universe. Yeah. So it's one of the things, so one of the things, if you're a kind of a person who tends towards some of these thoughts, like they're discouraged thoughts and they're focusing too much on the suffering of the imaginary self, but it feels real. Then you have to really go to the other hand and focus on loving kindness towards self. Towards self. And you have to focus on your achievements. Give yourself certificates of award. Honestly, you have to encourage yourself. You see the discouragement. Balance it with encouragement. You've been working really hard on Dharma for 3 years, and you know you've made progress. Am I telling a lie? You know you have. Okay. Focus on that. List it. Make a list of the progress. What do you no longer do that you used to do? Okay?
What about just a list of the effort? Like, why does it have to?
Absolutely. I like that. Effort is progress. But I'm saying first, please add that. Yeah. List of efforts you've made. I went to the center 52 Sundays out of 52. You know, I sat for 3 minutes a day. I don't care what it is. I was kind. I gave away something. We can up the ante, though, on these 6 perfections. You can be a little bit artificial about it, because remember how everyone says, fake it till you make it? I was with Venerable Chitrin once, traveling, and This is a funny story to me. We went to a city in Mexico, and she has students there. I'd never met them. And I was so new to Dharma. I was just following her around because I was kind of in love with her and in love with the Dharma. I was sparked. And we got there, and there was this magnificent building. It was wealthy Mexicans, and it was just gorgeous. And she got really upset, and she started scolding them right away. They were her students, so she knew them. She'd been around, so she just went after it. And she said, every day while I'm here, all of you have so much resource, so much wealth. You give away something physical every day. Go out on the street to a stranger. I don't want you sending, $10 to some organization. This got to be personal. And this is a really good generosity practice to choose. Every day you give something, $1, a sweater, a scarf, your extra shirt, to somebody on the street who needs it. And you get through your embarrassment, your fear, your whatever it is that keeps you from doing that. And it was marvelous. I loved that practice. And then we were there 7 days. So then they'd come back. It was a retreat, so it was every day. They'd come back, and she'd have them tell the stories of how they tried to give something away and whether it worked and what they went through. It should have been in a book. It was so inspiring. And they got so happy. And I did the same thing. I was traveling, so I didn't have a lot of stuff, but someone gave me a scarf, so I gave the scarf to someone, to the maid at the house I was staying at. It was just so delightful. And that's the first of the 6 perfections. So you do something kind of push a little, push a little. Or do an ethical act that you haven't done before. Something you have a not so good habit. Don't have that cigarette, or don't swear tomorrow. Don't use a swear word all day. This is how it's training, we got to train. It's not just going to happen from seeing. Bill and I and Dora and Julie Herlocker were talking about this, just, see it. You're on the cushion and see it. And we're starting to talk about, what does that mean? Because people say, well, I saw it. I saw my depression, and I'm really, really depressed. That's not the kind of seeing we're talking about. That's seeing 101. If you go to seeing 102, you start looking at, what is it made out of? You see, like I was saying, what's the physical component? Where do you feel depression? Stone in the stomach, maybe. Where do you feel anger? Heat. Or cold, be one. Where do you feel craving? It can start somewhere. So go on the body. Look at the body. Then look at, it's a set of thoughts. What are my thoughts telling me? If I don't have this, I'll die, or whatever. What's the story? Then what's the we already did sensations. What are the emotions? You just look quickly. That's the seeing. And deeper you see, none of those are made of anything more than this. Grab some air. So you're going to wreck your life based on something that ephemeral? And that's kind of what we do. So I think Susan was waiting, and then Sanjay, or Sanjay, Susan, I don't know.
So I have a long-lasting disease,
Mm-hmm.
not Crohn's, but depression.
Mm-hmm.
Until it was taken care of, because it's a medical condition that I have, that I inherited from people in my family.
Mm-hmm.
And people would say to me, you haven't suffered enough.
Mm.
I could not get beyond it.
Sure.
So I think sometimes, and I'm curious what you think, I think sometimes that a lot of things in the Dharma assume that we are healthy in mind and body. And if we aren't healthy in mind and body, that sometimes we can't grasp some of the things
Yes.
because there is, and it isn't a delusion, it isn't a habit of mind, it's nothing like that. It's just that we can't even comprehend that that an antidote will work.
Yeah.
Because we're embodied in it.
Yeah.
However, there are some times that something, an illness can really teach a lot. I have a long-term chronic illness, and I can tell you it's really an amazing thing. But and then I had someone about 23 years ago tell me that I needed to act as if. That I needed to just pretend that it was going to work. And not have any conversation with myself. Do we need to be convinced it's going to work? Or can we just do something because we're told to and we're willing to and see what the outcome is? So I guess that's two different things. One is, are there states of mind and being where things that does the Dharma assume that we are healthy in mind and body? And then can we just do things to see what the outcome might be without being convinced? Because Matthew, when you were saying, how do I convince, I don't know, that was kind of interesting. That was like a horn out there, it's like convincing myself of something. I'm curious about that.
Yeah.
How that works.
Yeah.
Me, if I don't convince myself, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be doing
So
the thing.
that goes to what Susan's saying, and I think what you can do is look at who is that I and see whether it's on your side or not. There is quite a bit to be said for Susan's second point. At least that's been my experience. I did a lot of things because of my connection with my teachers that made almost no sense to me at the time. But I was desperate enough because of the suffering to try it. And then I tried it, and then I went, oh my God, that's effective. So let's go to the first. So you can consider that. It's kind of like when Lama Michael says, well, the Dharma says everyone's been your mother in past lives. That requires a whole lot of opening. And some people are like, maybe not. But as one teacher told him, and it worked for him, he described himself as terribly cynical, is try it on. Just like Susan said, try it on. He tried it on. I'll just go around tomorrow to the store, to the post office, going, these have all been my kind mother, brother, sister, friends. He had a delightful time. He had a much better time than when he said, I don't know if that's true. I got to get convinced. And it's just a trying of it and then seeing what happens. Now I forgot the first point. Does the Dharma mean when Kala Rinpoche said, you haven't suffered enough? Kala Rinpoche was saying that to a particular person at a particular time. I don't raise that as necessarily helpful for every being. And only you would know if it's useful to you. Only you would know if it's useful to you. But I have added the addendum that makes it useful to me is not that I haven't suffered enough, but that I don't see deeply into the nature of my suffering. And that's the first noble truth. It's the very first noble truth. Suffering is. The Buddha taught suffering is. He didn't mean suffering just is. He meant it's to be understood. Suffering is to be understood. That means look deeper. Look deeper. See what it's made out of. See if you want to keep doing it. See what ends it. And what ends it, go that way. The cause of suffering, second noble truth, it's our mind. We make the story of the suffering up. Things happen, yes, they do, but we make the story up on top and make it big, hard, impossible, hopeless. Now, Sanjay, probably last comment.
You said at the beginning of our talk about living our life and seeing everything that happens and being content. And I love that. I don't know what the practice is to establish that, and it would be good to have some recommendations of what would be useful.
Yeah, how can we become more content with whatever happens?
Permanent,
Yeah,
something horrible happens.
yeah.
Your
It's not easy, but I'll tell you what I use the most. It's all a sign appearance of the guru. We're back to that. So if you can see every single thing that rises, this is my dear teacher showing me where I'm still messed up. So that's a gift. And that's the whole thing back to the Bodhisattva path of the most difficult people, our mothers, our brothers, our ex-lovers, our whatevers. The one that gives you the most difficulty is the teacher of teachers. Why? Because they're showing you what you don't have down yet. You want to be a great dancer, a great musician? The one that shows you, you screwed up there. We don't like it, but who doesn't like it? It's the self-centered I that doesn't like it.
That's what I've been dwelling on. Is sort of like it's the like ego is what's really happening when I'm saying if I'm not convinced I'm not going to do it. That's ego talking.
Good.
That's the ego is what requires.
Yeah, I don't want to do it. I'm not convinced.
So I've already have more than enough to be convinced, but the ego still isn't convinced. Ego still demands more.
It's just a habit. Ego's just a habit. It's made of nothing. Don't, just tell it, go away. And it'll pop up. It's a whack-a-mole. You know that game. Okay, let's dedicate. Thank you so much. By this virtue may I quickly realize Mahamudra and establish all beings without exception in this state. Merci beaucoup. See you soon. Thank you.